Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to subscribe, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, wondering what a little girl is doing out at night all alone, Makoto realizes that something is off, asking that Mio talk to the girl. Unexpectedly, Mio puts on a terrifying glare, threatening the girl to leave them alone. Calling Mio back, Makoto scolds Mio for scaring the little girl, but Mio states that she simply wants to be alone with Makoto. Seeing Mio and Makoto arguing, the little girl can't help but giggle, making Makoto more comfortable with asking the girl her reason for being here. With the girl clinging to Makoto, Makoto reasons it would be best to head back to their inn for now. Whilst this is happening, a mysterious man watches from afar, disappearing into an alleyway. Returning to the room, the little girl begins talking about how she and her older sister were traveling together. When they entered the village, her older sister had started looking for work, but had suddenly disappeared. Makoto learns that the older sister has been gone for 1 month now, and since the little girl doesn't have any money, she has been kicked out of the place she has been staying in. As the little girl begins to break down, both Makoto and Mio suspect that her older sister is in some sort of trouble. Cutting to the carriage the gang had brought, we see several ninjas approaching the carriage, only to hear Tomo's voice from behind them. Demanding to know who they're, Tomo is forced to dodge the ninjas' advances, kicking one lightly, but even with her holding back, her strength is insane. Evading two of the Tomo begins to feel bad as she is moving too fast and way too strong for her opponents. With all but one defeated, she spots the last one attempting to flee, easily catching up and knocking them out, as she plans to interrogate them later. Returning to Makoto to tell him about what had happened, Tomo is scolded for not holding back more, against mere humans, and that she's lucky that they have Mio to clean things up. Unwrapping the sole survivor, Tomo learns that there were female amongst the attackers, which makes Makoto scold her more for not considering these things. But realizing that the little girl is here, Makoto refrains from punishing Tomo. Finally revealing her name as Rinin, Tomo learns of Rinin's tragic past, but Rinin is more amazed that Makoto is not a mute, but he still can't speak to other humans. Since it's getting late, Makoto asks that Rinin eat food they had brought for Tomo, and take Tomo's bed for the night, as punishment for Tomo. Happy to be given such luxuries, Rinin accidentally calls Makoto Big Brother, only to apologize, but Makoto says Rinin can call him whatever she feels comfortable with. Before she leaves, Rinin gives Makoto a sketch of her sister, which Makoto, upon seeing, recognizes something. As Rinin leaves the room, she for some reason looks guilty. As Mio returns from eating up the corpses in the crime scene, she enters the room, only to see Makoto with a serious look, checking the memories of their captive. Upon seeing Mio, Makoto changes his tone, thanking Mio for taking care of the corpses. Having looked through the captive's memories, Makoto finds out the attackers were all at the guild, when they had first visited, suspecting that they must be linked to Rinin and her missing sister. Having a rough idea of where the perpetrators are, Makoto asks that Mio and Tomo head out immediately, giving them the serious look from before. Knowing that their master is serious, the girls listen to Makoto's instructions, heading out immediately. Thanking the girls for not questioning his motive, Makoto thinks about how the sketch of Rinin's older sister deeply resembles Hasegawa from his previous life, and he may not be able to hold back if he found out something bad happened to her look-alike. As Mio and Tomo walk through the streets, they chat about how Makoto is oddly serious about finding Rinin's sister, making Mio wonder if Rinin's sister is an acquaintance of Makoto. But Tomo shoots this thought down, revealing that she would know, as she's seen all of Makoto's memories, making Mio so jealous. Seeing as the sun is about to rise, they reason that they should complete the mission and hurry back. Taking Rinin out to help with some exchanges, Makoto tells Rinin that they'll help find her sister, but is surprised that Rinin can drive a wagon. Suddenly Rinin thinks of her sister, revealing to us that her sister had decided to become an adventurer in this town, but since everything was so expensive, she had to work to repay things. Unfortunately, her older sister had been badly injured, unable to pay off her debt before collapsing suddenly. Rinin was instructed by her big sis to get out of this town, and leave no matter what, but sadly was caught by an adventurer when she tried to leave. As we zoom into an underground cellar, we see Rinin's older sister, lying on the floor, with no energy. She reveals how her family has been adventurers for generations, but in the past, one of her ancestors had lost a valuable short sword, the family's treasure during a battle with a monster. In order to return her family's honor, Rinnen's older sis had planned to earn back the honor, but is currently mentally and physically incapable of such a thing. As Rinnen's sis hears some talking, she looks up to see Mio and Tomo, who reason that she must have been used in some human magic experiments. With Mio healing Rinnen's sis, they leave the room, having to melt away the wall to bypass the locked door. As the three walk down the hallway of their location, they are stopped by Mills Ace, the strongest adventurer. Back with Makoto, he and Rinnen have just finished up their errands, but Rinnen looks more and more freaked out, even screaming out of nowhere. Having returned to the inn, Rinnen suddenly runs off, but Makoto allows her to leave, knowing that others are ordering her around. Activating his Kai ability, Makoto tracks Rinnen's whereabouts, seeing Rinnen talking to a man. When Rinnen tells the man about Makoto's carriage being attacked last night, the man reveals that it was his doing, asking if Rinnen has any more information. Rinnen states that the fruits that Makoto brought from his village sold for a lot of money, prompting the man to order Rinnen to steal the money, as a means to pay off her and her sister's debt. As Rinnen leaves to steal Makoto's money, Makoto thinks about how corrupt this village is. Cutting to the girls, we learn that Rinnen's sister's name is Toa, and Mills was the one that had her locked up. On top of that, Mills is the mastermind behind this corrupt town, having the man that just spoke with Rinnen and his lackeys do the dirty work, whilst he swoops in and plays the fake hero. One of Mills' men suddenly realizes that Mio and Tomo are the new adventurers over level 1000, but Mills accused them of faking their levels. Additionally, Mills talks about a mysterious creature with outrageous mana visiting their town not recently, threatening to have Mio and Tomo face that creature. But Mio and Tomo know that the creature they are talking about is Makoto. With a smug look, Mills offers Mio and Tomo a job in his corrupt faction, but the girls decline. Wondering why the girls would turn down such a thing, Mills insults Makoto, but this triggers the girls, as they both throw a single punch in Mills' direction, but Mills reveals an almighty shield, the clay Aegis, nullifying the girls' punches. Cutting to Rinnen, we see her guilty of lying to Makoto, wondering if she should even steal from Makoto. Back with girls, we see them now fired up. Tomo takes the first strike, easily blasting through the clay Aegis, blowing Mills' men away, along with landing a direct hit on Mills. As Mio walks after Tomo's decimation, she stops in front of Mills, slapping him silly, before carrying on. Tomo is then seen walking up on the man that has been manipulating Rinnen, trapping him in her illusion, only for the two to blow open the building, sending Mills flying away for good. As Tomo and Mio fight over who had slaughtered more people, we see Rinnen finally reunited with Toa, who Makoto notes is an exact copy of Hasegawa, except for the hair color. As Rinnen and Toa take a nap, Makoto ties up Mio and Tomo, flinging them out of the town with his bow, as punishment for destroying the village and losing control. With the village all destroyed, the gang along with Rinnen, Toa and some other captives by Mills, all decide to head to the village, Sieg. Arriving at the closest adventurers guild, one of the men that tagged along tells the receptionist about how their previous village was decimated by mysterious monsters. Whilst this happens, Makoto thinks about how Tomo had used some of her mind manipulation magic on everyone except Rinnen, and Toa's memory in the previous village had been altered to believe monsters destroyed their village. With the receptionist wondering if the monsters still exist, she's introduced to Mio and Tomo, who she doesn't believe is actually over level 1000. Makoto states that they've already registered with the previous guild, but the receptionist says their data must have been lost when the village was decimated, and they'll have to re-register. Hearing this, Makoto speaks with Tomo privately, who is worried Makoto is still angry about her fighting with Mio. Instead, Makoto tells her about knight errantry, a samurai who trained and honed their skills until a deadly degree. Hearing this, Tomo wonders if she was like that samurai, she'll not only surpass Mio, but also gain the praise of Makoto. Making up her mind, Tomo asks that she begin training on her own, which Makoto allows, having expected her to take the bait. As Tomo runs off to train, Mio thinks about how she will be able to spend time with Makoto, but we zoom out to see that the others are along for the ride. As the gang continue their travels, to Sieg, by carriage through a forest, Rinnen notices Mio mad at first, but is able to cheer Mio up, by complimenting her and Makoto's relationship. Suddenly, Makoto erects his Kai barrier, spotting several bugs up ahead, asking Mio to deal with them. Mio immediately accepts, facing the creatures. With a single swing of her fan, she kills all the bugs, impressing everyone. Asking that they continue down the forest, Toa interrupts, asking to be able to collect the bug's corpse, as they are quite rare material. Knowing that this will only be a waste of time, Makoto is suddenly distracted by Toa's body, giving in to her request, but this makes Rinnen and Mio glare at Makoto. Collecting the bug's eyes, the gang continue on their path, setting up camp and resting when it's dark, riding when the sun's out and battling through and collecting the material from monsters in the forest. With so much raw material collected, Makoto is reminded that he had created a trading company for goods, calling it the Kuzunoa Trading Company. Suddenly the gang encounters creatures with ruby eyes, quite a rare species. Asking that Mio deal with them, Mio gets annoyed that the others are asking her to kill the creatures, but not damage their eyes, head or wings. Knowing that he should deal with this himself, he learns that the abdomen is the most vulnerable spot, but the girls are scared he's too weak, as he's technically level 1 in their minds. Readying his bow, Makoto focuses, easily shooting down each and every creature, impressing the girls, with the elven girl in particular, believing that Makoto's bow is high-tech. Makoto is unable to explain that his bow and arrows are ordinary, as the others are too busy harvesting the valuable materials from the creatures. Finally arriving at Sieg, Makoto is re-registered, sad to see that his level is still 1, even after slaying those creatures in the forest. With Makoto asking that Mio wait for Tomo to have them both re-register at the same time, Makoto visits the quest board, spotting only rank A and B quests, looking at a special quest by the Rembrandt Trading Company in particular. Since it's special, Makoto can accept it regardless of rank, realizing that this quest is asking for ruby eyes. Suddenly Toa interrupts Makoto, telling him about her rank up during their adventure, pleasing Makoto, as he asks that they split the goods they acquired. Asking for one of each of the goods, and most of the ruby eyes, Makoto apologizes for hogging the valuables, but the others are simply happy Mio and Makoto helped them get here. Seeing everyone's sad faces, Makoto states that they should at least throw a party to celebrate their parting ways, which pleases everyone. With Toa offering to set things up for the party, Makoto exchanges contacts with Toa using their guild cards, which Makoto notes how high-tech this is, as all adventurers no matter the rank have access to a town map and monster encyclopedia, but it comes at the cost of a yearly fee to the guild. That night, Mio and Makoto meet up with the others for their party, at a tavern. Seeing that they offer meat, Makoto can't help but dig into a huge chunk of meat. Watching him, Louisa the Blessed Gunner, an elven girl that's rank A- and level 108, talks about how she can barely sense Makoto's presence or desire, amazed that she has never seen anyone use a bow like Makoto. Next Mio glares at Hazel, who is an alchemy master who's rank B+ and level 114. Learning that Makoto plans to use the ruby eyes he acquired from their trip for a special quest he found earlier. Next is Renina, who's a dwarven priest knight, rank B+ and level 122. Quite drunk, Renina challenges Makoto to an arm wrestling contest, but is surprised when she's defeated by Makoto. Finally, Toa is revealed to be a dark thief, with rank A and a level of 125. As the party comes to an end, Toa asks more about Makoto's special quest, but upon hearing it's from the Rembrandt Trading Company, she warns Makoto about some rumors she's heard regarding them. As the two make their way back to the room they will be sharing, Makoto asks that Mio go on ahead, as he plans to grab the goods for the special quest, being warned by Toa that people that accept Rembrandt Trading Company's quest usually have bad things happen to them. Since Tomo is nowhere to be found, Mio gets antsy wondering if he and Makoto will get to share a bed, but when Makoto arrives, he simply sleeps in his own bed, making Mio regret not destroying one of their two beds. The next day, Mio and Makoto head back to the demi-plane, which Makoto is proud to announce that he's able to create the mist needed to enter and leave whenever he wants. Greeted by Tomo's fragment and Emma scolds Makoto for not acting more kingly, as he may be an adventurer in the real world, but in the demi-plane he is the ruler. Filling in the two on what has transpired since they were gone, Makoto learns that the Alks are settling in the mountains with the help of the orcs and mist lizards. The dwarves are helping with construction and repairs, along with designing new equipment, and as for farmland the mist lizards are in charge of clearing farmland and guarding the village. As a final surprise, Makoto spots a huge area of land, being built specifically for him, designed based on his memories, which Makoto remembers Tomo had recorded a bunch of his memories, and this is what it's being used for. Speaking of Tomo, Makoto is sad to hear that neither Emma nor Tomo's fragments have been able to get in touch with Tomo. Suddenly Eld appears, showing off his new boots invention, allowing him to walk and keep up with the younger dwarves, but more importantly asks to show Makoto something. Unveiling his new leather, scaled and full-plater armors, Eld asks that Makoto equip one of them, but are all disheartened when Makoto refuses to wear any of them, as they are too heavy-duty and flashy. Instead, Makoto notices a thinner protective gear on the racks, which Eld states that Rugi was the one that crafted this coat. Makoto recognizes that name as the same person that crafted his Dropnir rings. Rugi reveals that the gear absorbs mana, just like his Dropnir rings do. When the gear is blue, it prioritizes physical and magical defense. But Makoto has the option to convert the gear to red, favoring mobility over defense. Trying out the gear, Makoto is sad to see the gear is already exhausted with his mana, but Rugi states that he'll make the gear more compatible with Makoto's vast mana pool. Meeting with Mio, Makoto is introduced to some of Mio's ALK followers, who are practicing appearing as humans. Seeing them gather such materials from the demi-plane, Makoto notes that the goods grown in the demi-plane are more powerful than normal. With nothing else left, Makoto heads to the Rembrandt Trading Company to complete his quest, but upon arriving, realizes that the quest isn't as easy as it seems. Sitting down with the representative of the Rembrandt Trading Company, Patrick, Makoto apologizes for not being able to talk, and instead will be communicating via his writing magic. Perfectly fine with this, Patrick's butler enters, as Patrick asks about how long Makoto's been an adventurer, as Patrick is aware of most adventures in this town, but doesn't recognize Makoto's name. Telling Patrick about how he has moved into town recently, Makoto reveals that he's rank E and level 1, aiming to join the Merchant Guild and establish his own trading company. Hearing this, Patrick gets mad, standing up and scolding Makoto for doing things wrong, only to ask Makoto to leave. Having heard Makoto's level and rank, Patrick assumes Makoto is using this meeting to establish a connection with his trading company, but Makoto unveils the ruby eyes, shocking Patrick. Instantly apologizing, Patrick notes the rare and well-kept ruby eyes, which prompts Makoto to ask why Patrick needs them. As an apology for his rudeness, Patrick reveals that he needs the ruby eyes to produce a special kind of medicine, ambrosia, that can cure most curses. Apparently Patrick's wife and daughter had been afflicted by a cursed disease, a type of curse caused by a witch doctor's ritual. Patrick was able to capture the witch doctor, but they were only able to find out that it was a B-rank curse, before the witch doctor had died. Wanting to help, Makoto asked that he be present when the medicine is made, as he personally knows an alchemy meister that'll speed up the creation process, and since it takes 2 eyes to cure 1 person, Makoto gifts all of his eyes, bringing Patrick and his butler, Morris, along with everyone to tears. Seeing every butler and maid act like family around Patrick, Makoto realizes he should give them some space, as Patrick gives him a receipt along with the time in which the medicine will be made. Heading to join the Merchant Guild, Makoto learns from the receptionist that there is a test to joining that can be taken anytime, involving a written test based of a guild manual, and upon completing the written part, Makoto will be required to take the physical test, asked to supply random goods such as empty bottles or even wolf fangs. If he passes both, he'll have to deposit a huge sum of money as proof of economic strength, but if he fails, he'll have to wait half a year before taking it again. Asking to buy the manual, the receptionist recommends just borrowing someone else's as it is quite expensive, but Makoto reasons a personal copy would be best. Having a look at the manual, Makoto gets surprised, making the receptionist feel bad, as she knows the test is hard. Surprisingly, Makoto asks to sit the test immediately, shocking the receptionist. Brought to a room, Makoto notes how he has memorized most things already. As this happens, the examiner enters, taking Makoto's manual, whilst handing him his test and starting a timer. Looking through the test, Makoto immediately gets to work, speeding through the test, as the questions are on par with kindergarten questions in his previous world. Surprising the examiner, Makoto wonders how educated this world truly is, but has no time to ponder as he's asked to pick a rank for his physical test. Unfortunately, picking rank A, Makoto is asked to retrieve 4 highly rare items, or items on par with their values. Unfortunately, Makoto must be at least level 50 to take on rank A quest, meaning Toa, the elf, the dwarf and the chemist he came to town with are actually quite strong, as they are all level 100 and above. Pulling out some items that he was given before he and the gang departed, the examiner is shocked to learn that Makoto has such connections, immediately welcoming him into the Merchants Guild. Congratulating Makoto, the receptionist asks Makoto to return tomorrow to pick up his guild's card, sending him on his way. In the meantime, we cut to Tomo, who is seen training hard to become a knight-errantry, slaying countless creatures, even bringing a crab back to the demiplane. With all the town's folks helping to boil the crab, Tomo slices up the crab, only to devour the plump meat with the villagers. Suddenly, Tomo gets word that Mio is looking through Makoto's memories, scared that Mio will see the historical dramas she hasn't seen yet, and eat them. Tomo rushes back to Makoto's house. Upon entering, is welcomed by Emma, who had fed Tomo false information about Mio, knowing that Tomo will show up. Instead, Mio is translating Makoto's memories, which was Tomo's job before she disappeared, and as a threat Emma states that she won't tell Makoto that Tomo had returned to the demi-plane, as long as she does her job. As Emma leaves, Tomo commends Emma's craftiness, as she thinks of ways to procrastinate. As Tomo and Mio catch up, Mio asks that Tomo stop distracting her, and that Tomo should report to Makoto on her return. Cutting to Makoto, we see him entering a bar, unsure what to order as a drink, and blindly ordering one. As he waits, he hears other adventurers talk about how a powerful Gain crab had scared away red bee swarms from a nearby forest. Unsure what creatures they are talking about, Makoto is finally served a yellow drink, wondering if it could be lemon, but all whilst this is happening, 2 people watch him. Taking a sip, Makoto is sad to learn the drink is banana-flavored, and not even that strong in flavor, which makes him miss the demi-plane's fruit. Following Tomo's fragment, she is seen sneaking some fruit, only for Makoto to appear through some mist, teasing her for stealing. As they both munch on some fruit, Makoto learns that the weather in the demi-plane has been all over the place, reducing the amount of fruit produced. Wondering what the cause could be, Makoto asks about the illusionary city he's asked his followers to work on, but Tomo's fragment admits that she doesn't know what Makoto is asking for, regarding the illusionary city. Happy to explain, Makoto states that selling fruit and equipment to the outside world may not work well, as people may not value the items, or there could be conflict as people may suspect something, with Makoto always having such powerful items. Instead, Makoto wants to have adventurers wander through a mist and into the demi-plane, gifting these adventurers with some free items, only to send them away. This way these adventurers will spread the news of this mystery town, and the rare items, allowing Makoto to more easily sell and integrate items in the demi-plane into the real world. Suddenly, Makoto is called telepathically by Tomo, who asks Makoto to come to her location, as Mio is going rogue. As Makoto rushes back to his house, he's unsurprised to see Mio demanding Tomo continue recording Tomo's memories. When Tomo refuses, Mio threatens to eat Makoto's memories with historical dramas. Asking to be caught up, Makoto learns that Mio was working on translating his memories, but had seen something in the memories, but couldn't see all of it, demanding Tomo to produce the remaining memory. Stepping in, Makoto tries to break them up, but they simply continue bickering, annoying Makoto. Raising his voice, Makoto calms both of them down. Makoto scolds Tomo for not reporting to him, learning that she had secretly returned and ate crab. Asking Mio about the mess, Mio states that she simply wants to continue viewing certain parts of Makoto's memories, showing him the memories. Shocked, Makoto states that these memories are of anime and cartoon shows he was forced to watch, but approves Mio's request, as he plans to have a long chat with Tomo. Returning to town, Makoto states that he plans to sleep here, as he has to wake up early tomorrow. Seeing Mio and Tomo occupy one bed each, Makoto states that the master should at least have a bed, but Tomo and Mio have other plans, wanting to share a bed with Makoto. Seeing this, Makoto reasons it would be best to just sleep on the chair, as Mio and Tomo have already fallen asleep. As the next day comes, Makoto meets up with Hazel, who's just happy to get a chance to witness the creation of such valuable goods. In the meantime, the 2 mysterious people watching Makoto in the bar, following Hazel and Makoto, stating that they'll stop Patrick from having his way. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and comment.